So Nordhaus built a model that he called DICE, Dynamic Integrated Model of Climate and the Economy. And it has 3 interdisciplinary parts, modules. One is the economy, another one is the carbon cycle, and the third one is the climate. In the economic model, Nordhaus builds on traditional growth theory, but he adds fossil fuel as an important good for businesses and households. They use it for their energy needs, and this gives rise to carbon dioxide, CO2 emissions. Carbon dioxide moves into the atmosphere and goes into carbon circulation among different reservoirs. That happens in the carbon cycle module. And finally, the climate module describes how the climate is affected by the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide. The climate also affects the economy by causing damages by global warming, and that's also described in the economic module. So now we have the pieces that are needed to do the analysis. And I'll show you an example of how DICE is put to use. This is a graph that shows us what the model predicts for carbon dioxide emissions over time, under the assumption that we don't change our current climate policies. Here's another graph. That's what comes about if you do a calculation that's similar to what governments do when they do cost-benefit analysis and think about pros and cons. That leads to a carbon tax, and that curbs emissions. The next one is also the same type of calculation, but where the government puts much higher weight on future generations, and you see that emissions fall even more. Finally, a similar path is arrived at if you set a maximum degree of warming to 2.5 degrees. So these kinds of calculations and different generations of DICE have been key input into the IPCC reports.